Assalamu alaikum and good morning. I'm Farooq Humayun from the Manchester studios of Asian Sound Radio Network. Australia's moment of hate speech reckoning after the Christchurch shooting. After it emerged that the suspect behind the Christchurch mosque shootings was an Australian, it set the stage for soul searching in his homeland. The prime suspect for the attack, in which 50 people died, is a self described white supremacist. Australia's government immediately joined the unequivocal condemnation of the attack, but the conversation at home was already turning to whether racism and hate speech had become normalized. Within hours of the mass shootings, while the rest of the world was still grieving, the debate took an unsavory turn in Australia when a far right senator issued a statement in which he blamed the attack on Muslim migration. Fraser Anning is a senator who entered Parliament in 2017 as replacement for another disqualified lawmaker. Last year, he lost affiliation with all parties when he used the phrase final solution in Parliament while urging a ban on Muslim migration. On Friday, he put out this statement: the real cause of bloodshed on New Zealand streets is the immigration program that allowed Muslim fanatics to migrate to New Zealand in the first place. The comment sparked immediate anger and condemnation from other lawmakers who have vowed to formally censure him. It also prompted overwhelming fury from the Australian public, demanding the senator resign for supporting right wing terrorism. In the day that followed his statement, the debate grew more heated when a teenager smashed an egg on the senator's head at a televised press conference. The images immediately went viral, and Egg Boy was celebrated online as a hero, despite criticism from some circles of his actions. The senator's comments were an extreme example of hate speech, but not entirely alien to Australian political debate. Rhetoric targeting migrants and minority groups has become commonplace, and this has emboldened political violence. Where do we go from here? One of the questions being asked is how some outlets could have loosened their definition of what views are acceptable to allow a platform for. Those on the far left have not been given the same platform as those on the far right. If we want to change things, there has to be a focus now on where we place the margins, on who we give a platform to, and who we allow that privilege of having a public vote. In the UK today, counter terror police are investigating after 5 mosques were attacked overnight in Birmingham. Officers were called after windows were smashed. The motive remains unknown, but it's believed they are linked. Adil Parker from the Birmingham Council of Mosques says they're appalled. Taking a look at India. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants to connect more than a billion Indians to the internet, and his BJP government is counting on a project taking cheap high speed broadband to rural areas to achieve this. The project to build a nationwide optical fiber network was launched in 2014 and is the flagship scheme of the government's Digital India program. So, has the project been a success? Indian Communications Minister Manoj Sinha promised to provide every village in the country with high speed broadband and that this would be achieved by March 2019. Setting up a digital infrastructure in rural India has made substantial headway, but has so far achieved less than 50% of its intended target. It's been an ambition of successive governments to connect all India to the internet, but plans have hit many roadblocks. Let's have a look at what's happening in Pakistan. Pakistan has launched a strong protest with India over the acquittal of all 4 accused in the Samjhauta Express terror attacks by a special court of Haryana. The protest was lodged by Pakistan's acting Foreign Secretary with the Indian High Commissioner, who was summoned to the Foreign Office. Pakistan had consistently raised the lack of progress and the subsequent concerted attempts by India to exonerate the perpetrators of this terrorist attack, in which 44 innocent Pakistanis lost their lives. The acquittal of the 11 accused years after the Samjhauta terror attacks makes a travesty of justice and exposes the credibility of the Indian courts. The systemic Indian decision to gradually exonerate and finally acquit the perpetrators is a gross reflection of India's insensitivity to the plight of the 44 families of the deceased Pakistanis. Well, that's it for today's segment. I'm Farooq Humayun from the Manchester studios of Asian Sound Radio Network. Allah Hafiz.